Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I thank our witnesses for being here today, and I have a question for Executive Director Wales and Director Ingles. Inglis. We know that ransomware attacks can be devastating. To further complicate the effects of an attack, healthcare entities face additional requirements because their data can include protected health information that's covered by HIPAA. Entities covered by HIPAA are required to report a breach of protected health information within 60 days of the discovery of the breach. However, it can sometimes take several weeks of forensic investigation after a ransomware attack to discover protected health information was compromised. There's pending legislation that may require the reporting of a network breach to the Department of Homeland Security. Since healthcare entities often need time to discover if protected health information was compromised, are there plans to address the interagency communication so that the Health and Human Services Office of Civil Rights 60-day countdown does not begin when a ransomware payment is reported to the Department of Homeland Security, but rather once the healthcare entity has determined that a breach of protected health information has occurred?
Ma'am, obviously there's a number of different versions of the cyber incident reporting legislation that are moving around. They will have somewhat different responsibilities for the degree of regulatory harmonization that may be required, because obviously there's a number of other regulators that require incident reporting from our critical infrastructure in the financial sector, in the energy sector, and others. Part of that legislation that we've seen would require CISA to work with those agencies if we are implementing our regulation. Part of it would require, once information is reported into them, it be further reported to us within 24 hours once they get that information. But it's a little too hard to say in terms of what will be the final passage of the bill. We're still working closely with relevant congressional committees on that legislation, but I can assure you that our goal, working with Director Inglis and others, will be to ensure the maximum harmonization of those various regulatory requirements, but that will take some time to work through.
Thank you. Mr. Inglis, do you want to add anything?
I would simply add, additive to the comments made, is that I think most of these bills have a rulemaking period such that the bill is not implemented immediately upon passage, but after some months, in some cases as much as 2 years afterwards, after there's a kind of full consideration of the concern that you've raised and others.
Thanks. Mr. Wales, attracting qualified workers is a challenge facing every sector in America. With regard to cybersecurity, are there enough qualified workers for you to hire at CISA?
That question is kind of hard. We're not hiring them in a vacuum. We're hiring them in an environment where there is intense competition for top cybersecurity talent, and we're doing a lot to try to recruit and retain the cyber workforce that we want. And I touched upon some of those issues earlier, but I do think it is essential for the nation that we grow the pipeline of people who are focused in this area. It is not going to be enough to just look at the people who are available today. We need to think about what the needs are going to be in the future. And to do that, we are going to need more people who are interested and focused on this area, willing to devote themselves to the cybersecurity field, and get involved, and whether that's at the federal government level, a state and local government, or in the private sector, in academia, in the research and development community, in security research community. We need people in all of those areas, and so we really need to grow that pipeline. We've got initiatives to do it, but it's going to take really a whole-of-nation effort to make sure that we have the talent required.
Well, Chairman Scott and I are trying to work on the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and if you have specific suggestions, I'm sure we'd be happy to have them. Director Inglis, cybersecurity is not an issue that people often think about until there's a problem. Does society need to treat cybersecurity with more urgency, or should strengthening cybersecurity be the role of the private sector and the government rather than citizens?
Thank you for the question. It's a wonderful question. I don't think that cybersecurity at the end of the day can completely shopped out to kind of a group of experts who build, operate, and defend the infrastructure independent of the people who actually are served by that infrastructure. As I indicated earlier, people are not simply served by cyberspace. they're a part of cyberspace. Individual choices that are made by ordinary users who depend upon it to conduct their livelihoods or their personal affairs or businesses, those choices are actually reflected in the weaknesses or the strengths of cyberspace. Therefore, everyone must be involved, and we need broadly a campaign for awareness and some degree of awareness and training that then equips people so that they can fulfill the roles that they need to as individuals, organizations, or sectors.
Well, again, I would invite you, if you have some suggestions on how we can enhance our national cybersecurity that you don't have a chance to talk about today, I hope you'll share those things with us.
I would welcome the opportunity to engage you and your staff.
Thank you very much.